Thanks for joining us this week for Backstage at the Doudna. I'm your host, Dwight Vaught. This week we feature a one-man show by Jack Freiberger. They Call Me Mr. Fry is the true story about Jack's first year as a school teacher in South Central Los Angeles, a job he found himself unprepared for. The show explores the interaction between Jack and two of his students as well as their families through tragedy and triumph. The show is heartwarming, laugh-out-loud funny, and heartbreaking at times. Staged in the Black Box Theater at the Doudna in November of 2012, we sat down with Jack prior to his performance to learn more about the process from classroom to the stage. It's a pleasure to have you here at Eastern Illinois University.
Well, I'm loving being here. I just pinch myself every time I come to Eastern Illinois University. I'm pinching myself.
It's a journey for you, Jack. You're a school teacher, bringing those stories to the stage. Tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into teaching, and how this journey started.
Well, I come from a family of teachers and educators where education is really, you got to get educated, you got to get a college degree, and I had a tutor when I was like third grade, so I mean it was like got to make sure you're on board with your teacher and you know what's happening, you're not left behind, and so I always had sort of drilled into me in a nice way education, and so I started out in Los Angeles. I was getting into acting, and I was getting in, so I also have a background in performance, and I was substitute school teaching, and I really enjoyed doing that. I really enjoyed being a substitute, and I wanted more out of the experience, and I was getting older, and I said, well, you know what, go for it, be real. And my girlfriend at the time was like, do this, this is great. See, Nancy has a real job. She's a nurse, and Nancy has given me a beautiful, beautiful gift. She will find a little critter on the floor, and even if it's a cockroach, she'll scoop it up with Kleenex, and she'll take it outside. Oh my! I take bugs outside like this. She has given me the gift of a guilt trip. It's the gift of higher consciousness. Jack, if you really want to go on the path of spirituality and enlightenment, which I think you know what I mean, you should try to find a career where we could build a life together. You and me, our own little secret garden of higher consciousness. Isn't that so? Nam me ho reike kyo. And so I got into it, I got my credential, and then I started. You have a different experience as a substitute and as a full-time teacher. You really get to know the kids when you're a full-time teacher. As a substitute, you're kind of in and out. And I really, it opened up, my original show was called Secrets Behind the Classroom Door. And because there was just so many stories and drama and going on that I felt that this needs to be told. People need to hear this. And so I started to put it together in a sort of a cohesive way, and I step by step and telling you stories of the teachers and the parents. Don't worry, I got it from here, Mr. Barnes, I got it from here. And as soon as I turn around, Anthony's like, Mr. Fry, Jasmine's chewing gum again, Mr. Fry, she's chewing gum. It's about respect, Mr. Fry, it's about respect. Where's the justice? No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. Si se puede. That's Anthony, a homegrown radical member of the underground Weathermen. Now let me tell you about Anthony. Anthony's an 11 or 12-year-old Latino who wants to be a black rapper. So I feel like I'm teaching the Latino Vanilla Ice kind of a guy. And Jasmine, on the other hand, is this really cute African-American fifth grader that Anthony makes fun of because she's developing. And she chews invisible gum. I chew gum, Anthony, I chew gum, I chew gum. I could see right away Anthony was baiting her. Settle down, quiet. Jasmine, last I checked,
There is no gum chewing in class. So could you spit it out, please? Only if you want to, really. It's up to you. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
So the show, They Call Me Mr. Fry, is the name that the students would call you, Mr. Fry, and it opens with the scene where you're going in for an interview process. And was that when you were going from being a substitute teacher into applying for a full-time teaching position?
You're right. It started out with me, I was a substitute teacher interviewing at this really top school that was like top not only in the city as far as scores wise, but in the state. And so I actually get this job, and then I lose the job, and then I end up somewhere that's completely different with a whole different set of challenges. But I think the point is, at the end, it's not where I'm at, it's what I'm doing where I'm at.
I walk up to that school. Toto, we're not a carpenter anymore. Despite my better judgment, I walk into that principal's office. There's only one person in this office, Mr. Barnes, the principal. Whoa, he's a strapping African American. He's a Nubian god. He's muscles in a coat and tie. He's 6'4", both ways. Are you Mr. Freiberger? Yeah, but everyone calls me Mr. Fry. Can you handle kids? You got your own car. Are you afraid of helicopters? No. Congratulations, you got the job. Marge, we got one. Sign them up quick. 5th grade class, room 10. I'll pick up your students and meet you in the classroom. Hurry up, Marge, before he gets away.
So the school you ended up with wasn't the one that you were substitute teaching at, and the position that you really wanted. It created some new challenges for you as a teacher. You want to think that you're ready, but was this an opportunity for you to say, hey, these are some things that I wasn't prepared for, maybe I'm outside of my element here?
No, I was and I wasn't. I was ready to meet the challenges of educating them, but I kept getting roadblocks. I wasn't really ready to experience emotionally the drama of the students' lives themselves. And so that's what threw me off. And that's, as a first-year teacher, one is so raw and rare, and you see and feel these things as they're happening. And so that's why I decided to tell that story.
The only thing they seem to understand is when I yell at them. And I hate that. I can't do that anymore. I can't. Oh, you can't turn your back on these kids for 1 second. I developed a whole new technique for writing on the chalkboard. Oh, I can be a teacher. I can get through this. I just have to get through 35 more years of this until retirement. Loving the good students is not the challenge. Loving the students that grade on your every last nerve. Yes, that is the challenge. You know what? You're right. I'm a horrible teacher. I'm lazy. I'm irresponsible. And I'm teaching your children Mr. Fry is the reason why kids eat paste. Blame it on me.
So as the story unfolds, you end up not at the school that you were originally applying for, but you end up in South Central LA, obviously very culturally different than what you grew up in, as well as me. And did you find yourself prepared? You may have been prepared from a teaching standpoint, but then you're faced with a very different culture. And what did you feel like the first couple of days of walking in? Were you prepared for this, or what was going on of having to take on this really new opportunity for you?
Yeah, there were many challenges in working in that. I think they're less now than it was then, but you're dealing with cultures that didn't value really education the way my culture valued it, and so you're if it's not really super valued, then it's sort of carelessly on the side. So, but it's a major generality. But I also mean that these students, some of them very much do value but they've also have challenges that I didn't have to face, like homelessness and getting back from school safely, making sure you go the long way around back home. And so you got a mixed bag of everything.
Things that don't really have anything to do with a child sitting in the classroom. It's
Yeah.
all of those other personal experiences that
Yeah, and then the parents that are drugs and so and you also have parents that really are there too. I don't want to put it all in one category. You get a mixed bag. You get parents that really care, that are trying to do their best, but are there a one parent family, single mother?
What grade or grades did you teach?
Fifth grade.
Fifth grade.
Fifth grade. So you're also dealing with, because the parents trying to educate their kids also have multiple challenges. So all right, are we going to eat canned food, or are we going to eat frozen food? I mean, so there are all those different challenges that also the kids bring with them to the classroom. So you get what the children have at home in the classroom, and sometimes that's the only place where they can sort of like relax and let themselves go. Like the character in my show, Anthony, he was, both his parents were deaf, and he was what's called a CODA kid, child of deaf adults. And they, when he came to my class, it was playtime, because other than some of the main challenges that I mentioned in my show, which I won't mention here, you have to see the show. But there are also his challenges of just wanting to get away from this environment that he lived in. This sort of impressive, because he was very disciplined when he went home, and he came to my class and it was like playtime, So,
As you know, Anthony is being suspended for bringing an 8-inch buck knife to class, threatening students with it. He wouldn't give it to me. Finally, he stuck it in an apple and placed it on my desk. I'm having the apple tested for X-lax. He continues to beat up students by accident. He continues to leave campus when he's supposed to be in my class. If anything happens to him while he's in my class, I'm liable, sir. We've been in school for 3 months, and he's not only never once done his homework, but he's lost his math and his English book. Do you know where his books are, sir?
Well, I'm sure like any teacher, you have dozens of stories of students you've met and the funny things, the poignant moments, but that doesn't just translate to the stage. How do you get from that process of saying, I've got a great story of what happened to me today in the classroom, but I'm going to tell it on stage? How do you get from point A to point B?
Oh, that's a good question. I went to first of all, I recognize, wow, this could be really good stories, and this could be meaningful. It's meaningful to me, therefore it might be meaningful to other people. So if I can tell these stories in a way, how do I do this? How would I was familiar with the one-person show genre, and I had seen some good one-person shows, and I went to a workshop, Mark Travis's solo workshop, and he had done Chaz Palminteri's Bronx Tale. He had done Time Flies in Your Life. And those were early, super successful solo shows. And so I had help with some other creative people to help me tell this story in the most effective way, and hopefully make people reach all these different type of emotions as they're watching it that I was reaching, so we could reach them simultaneously together.
I'm a fish out of water, okay? Look, I went to Wonder Bread Elementary School. I come from a upper-class, privileged family from Indianapolis, Indiana, that sent me to private school all my life. We didn't have to worry about getting shot or stabbed. We didn't have to ever worry. All we had to worry about was not getting our uniforms dirty or yawning in the middle of class. That was a big one. What did I come here for? I'm not the great white hope here. Please, that's not where I'm going with it. Don't go there, please. Look, I just want to be the best teacher I can be in the situation I find myself in. That's all I'm trying to do here. But look at him. I could never replace his uncle. When I was his age, the closest thing to me that died was my chia pet. You know? Now, and that took me a good 4 weeks to get over. What kind of sheltered life have I lived?
Welcome to my dream. Welcome to my world.
And we're now on the set of They Call Me Mr. Fry,
Isn't this
the
a great set?
autobiographical
They
production.
built this set incredible. They do really great work here, and I'm not just blowing the plug. This is, look at this. You see the set. I mean, but I feel so at home. I feel.
Well, at home behind a desk because you're a teacher.
Yes.
And now bringing the story of Mr. Fry and your experiences to the stage. And so share a little bit more about how that story was crafted, and when you bring it to a venue, whether it's the Doudna or whether it's some other venue, what you hope for people to get out of that.
Well, crafting it to the stage is a process, and it does take work. It does take patience, but you got to want it. You got to want it. It's you can't give up. You know, you got to have a vision. And I've been doing this show for many years, and I'm still working on it, and I still challenge the material of doing this. And but the basic story is, oh, hold on, I got a phone call. Hold on, I'm sorry. Is this my brother, Philip?
Hi, John.
Hey, Phil, I'm actually on TV in an interview. Can you say hi to everybody at the students at EIU, Eastern Illinois University? Go ahead and say hi.
Hey, Philip.
Well, I'm sure, John.
He calls me John.
An interesting interview.
It is. You want to sit here and listen to the interview as we do this?
Well, go ahead. I'm all ears.
Okay. This is my brother. He's going to attend this interview with us. Okay, we're going to put you right over here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right. And if you have any questions, you can go ahead and throw them out. Okay. Anyway, so go ahead.
We were talking about the crafting of the process and telling the story and making it meaningful then, because you'd have so many stories, but putting it into a production that is meaningful, that tells the completeness of the story in the time frame, that it captures the audience's attention.
Yeah, and to do a solo show is really difficult. It's one of the hardest things an artist can do. And it's every time before I go to the show, it's sort of like pushing a boat across a huge lake where you can't see the other side, and you don't know where you're going to end up. You hope you end up where you're going to go, planning to go, and when you see the other side, you kind of like paddle like hell to find it. And it's the biggest challenge for an actor to do, I think, is a solo performance, because you have to create so much. You have to hold people's attention. You have to do a play, a screenplay in front of everybody, and it can't be boring. It has to have drama, and you have to tell it in a different way. You can't use one style of telling it the whole time, or you got to mix it up. So
Look at the school. It's got to be safe. Look at all the police here. Hi, officer. As soon as I walk in. That's graffiti in the graffiti. Shh. Oh, God. Oh, I can. Look, it's got a beautiful map. Oh my God, look at this map. Just concentrate on the map. Just concentrate. Union of the Soviet Socialist Republic. Did they switch back? What you said on the news? And look at this big, beautiful window on the light. It's got bullet holes. It's shell casings. Oh, that's so sweet. No, this is real. This is real. This is no joke. Stop the music. Stop. No, it's okay. No, this is no joke. How am I going to get out of this?
So that's the challenge of it. And you hit your earlier point about when I come to a venue and what they hope to get out to. There's a lot of things I hope they get out of it. I hope they get out of it, what teachers go through, that, hey, there are a lot of teachers out there that care, the challenges that the teachers face, and the students' lives, and there's a lot going into this pie. And so I also hope they get out some of the general themes of the show, which are fragility of life, having the hope to follow your dreams, help me out, Phil. What else? You've seen my show. What else is entertainment?
It's a very entertaining show.
It's entertaining, but I want people to come out other than being entertained. You know, I have a love and hate affair with that word. I love because we want to entertain, as you say, but also I don't want it to be like watching monkeys perform and I'm entertained or amusement. I want people to get an enrichment out of their own lives. Yeah, I want them to.
Touching story. How about that?
It's a touching story. Yeah, but I want it to enrich their own lives. I want them to think about their own life through art, and when art does that, then it's landed.
Why did I let you convince me to take this job? Look at this school. I asked for King Arthur, not Rodney King Arthur. Well, can't we all just get along? It's important, Mr. Fry, that your students bring a certain ragamuffin, barefooted irreverence to their studies. They're here not to worship what is known, rather to question it. They're in 5th grade, dude. I'm not teaching a class in college philosophy. I just want them to open their mouths so I can gently pour in the knowledge like a good, well-behaving bottle of ketchup. Good teaching is more about asking the right questions than finding the right answers. What I'm trying to say, Mr. Fry, is great teachers don't do great things. They inspire their students to do great things.
In the teaching profession, I could assume that sometimes teachers would stand in the classroom and say, I must be the only one that's ever faced this situation. But yet what you're bringing is sort of a commonality of, hey, we're all in this together. Anybody who's been a teacher or is a teacher.
That's a great point. And I say my show for beginning teachers, hey, it lets them know there's someone out here that's been through your first year, who knows your first year, a couple years are going to be tough. Hang in there. And for the veteran teachers, my show reminds them why they got into teaching in the first place. You know, we got into it for the kids. We got into it because teaching is fun. It's fun, and it should be fun, you know? And despite all the rigmarole they throw at teachers and the new procedures and the new things you got to do and the new requirements every 2 minutes, despite all that, okay, that's all external stuff. Internally, it's great working with kids. Just doing that workshop today, I so love that. I could have done that for 4 more hours. I could have heard all their stories and to see just in the little 2 hours, I don't know if you noticed, but the little bit of improvement of those stories, how they got to prose and they got into conflict and they got into creating character and they got into present tense and creating a voice and an attitude. So just in that little moment, to me, I saw a lot of growth.
And that's why we wanted you here, Jack, not only because of the performances, because we wanted people to connect with your story, but also the workshops that you're doing with the EIU theater students, which you did today, but you'll also be working with educators, both current and future educators, since EIU is a highly education-centered university. And that's so important, too, to send that message, whether it's the practical craft of how you write your story or whether it's just that motivational, inspirational. You're a teacher, you are a teacher. Sometimes we all just need that boost. What you're doing is important.
Well, good, and I appreciate it, and I hope I can I had a couple students talk to me after that class, and one of them, wanted to, continue the writing and asked me, what would I do to continue this? And another one asked me about another person's work that he was impressed with and how to do that, and he showed me some different voices that he does and different characterizations that he can do. And I thought, wow, this person has potential. He's got I love the different voices he has. It doesn't even sound anything like him. And it was like, he can do a lot with that. Add some physical characterization to that, add some drama and some different perspective and a story, and you throw all those elements in, and as my bro here says, you got an entertaining evening, and hopefully you'll get even more than that,
Well, and as you said, in just crafting a one-person show, it takes courage, but it takes an awful lot of skill, because if you're taking different characters, in your case, some of your kids, we're not giving anything away by telling it, since this will be post-produced, but you've got Anthony and you've got Jasmine and two of your kids, and you've got the father and you've got the principal, and you're taking on all of those roles, so you have to keep all of that attention, not only in the writing but in the performing, and also getting it back from the audience to know that everybody's connected and everybody's following the story.
Right. There's a weave, and it's not anecdotal. It's some it's a weave throughout the whole story. Is Mr. Fry going to survive this? How's he going to get through this? How's he feel about teaching now that he's experienced that? Where is he now? Where is he at the beginning? And also, it's important that and you see it in my show, that Mr. Fry's not a perfect teacher. He's full of flaws and faults and character, challenges. There's many universal themes from this, and it's not just about teaching. You don't have to be a teacher to enjoy it. You don't have to be a mobster to enjoy Godfather. Okay, it's when you have good characters and a good story. It's an inspiring message that should carry you. That's the type of work that I like to do.
Well, I think we can leave it there, Jack. We thank you for being here, not only in the workshops, but in the performances, and by technology, Phil, as well.
Phil.
Thanks for being part of our interview, Philip.
Yeah.
I include my brother with me anywhere. But anyway, thanks, Phil. Thanks for going with us. Thanks for the improv moment.
Bye, guys.
Okay, Phil, thanks. I'll talk to you later.